Everyone, my name is Abhishek Jain, and in today's video, we gonna use our code assistant tool, which we have created to run the large language model known as Quint 2.5 Coder, which is dedicatedly trained for coding assistant, right? You can watch my video where I have explained how you can use Ollama and Misty kind of tool to set up any kind of large language model. So you can just check the link on your top right, and at the end also, or in description also, you can find the link for that. So if you are not comfortable how to set up that in a local, you can just watch my video and you can just set that up so that you can follow along with this. So in today's video, what I have done is I have created a set of questions, a very simple question. I'm not going to make it very complicated and very fancy, but this is the bare minimum, where we have to build an application, then we have to test it. We have to, create a Docker image. If we want to containerize our application, then we have to deploy to the different environment with the use on the Kubernetes cluster, right? So I just try to see the Quint 2.5 coder large language model with 1.5 billion. I mean, how it can help me to just create the application all the way to just deploy to the Kubernetes cluster, right? So if you just see, these are the questions which I have created, right? You can also create the questions, you can make it more articulate, you can just make it more effective as well. But I didn't put too much emphasis on, how the language should look like. But whenever it comes to using a large language model, if you can just provide as much as context you want, that would be helpful for, the tool to provide you the more precise answer. Okay, so the very first question which I am asking, to my own code assistant, which we have built, like, could you please share me the web server complete code with the use of a fast API Python library, right? With all kind of useful RESTful API, and just share the setup details and the command to run it locally, right? So that's the very first thing which we are asking here. So I'm skipping at the requirement phase. I mean, for requirement phase also, you can use any other language, any other large language model. You can use this one as well, right? So probably I can cover that part, but I just directly start with coding because, I know everybody's love to do the coding and all this stuff. Okay, so this looks good. Now you can see it just provided you, okay, this is the code which you need, right? Which is going to just create two API endpoints, the read route and the create item, which looks good. We can copy the code and then we can see the instructions like, okay, what all libraries you need to install it. And you can see the command, how you can run it, right? So now you got it. All you need to do is just copy and run it. So I'm not going to run it and just get into the detail where, whether it's failing or pass. But if you want to just, review that, or you want to make it more effective, probably you can ask our code assistant only, could you please review the suggested code for web server with configured API endpoints, and how can we make it more effective and less error prone. So it's kind of reviewing, right? And the other thing which you can do is, probably here, I mean, we have to be very intelligent, right? We have to be very smart, right? So what you can do, you can copy this code, you can go to the ChatGPT, okay? So come here and you can ask ChatGPT to review the code which your code assistant is doing so that you can just get the, very optimized and effective code. So could you please review the below mentioned code that runs web server with two RESTful API endpoints? Okay, so run it and just paste the code because there are not so much line, right? So now you built it by yourself with your code assistant. Now you are taking a help from ChatGPT. You can take the help from Gemini, DeepSeek R1, the Claude, or any other platform which is publicly available, because our eventual goal is to just make our code more effective, more modular, more readable and more maintainable, right? So by using all these tools, we can do that. Just see, You can see what all fixes has been done. Now ChatGPT is fixing a code for you, right? So eventual code which looks like this, right? So you can use this and you are good. So I can copy this and I can go back to the Misty, again and see, what here is the simple example of using Python, blah, blah, blah. Then we asked to review it. It's also done some kind of thing, right? I mean, if you see here, it just puts some kind of exception handling based on what kind of probable exception may happen, so now, and here is the detail, right? So it's just a very small large language model through which we have created, right? So you don't have to do anything, right? And all you need to do is to just ask questions with providing a very precise context, right? So we created our web server, we know how to set that up, how to run it in local. Now the next question is, then we review the code and we got the optimized code as well, right? Okay. So now the next thing is, so now what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use the code which Quinn 2.5 coder or our own code assistant built for us, but now I'm going to use the one which ChatGPT has provided us. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, now the next thing is, after we develop the web server, we have to test it out, right? So could you please provide me automated test framework with PyTest library, which is the more commonly used library in Python. Test framework with PyTest library in Python for below piece of code. Okay, so this one. Okay, so let's click on here. So now let's see whether we get the. Okay, so now it's going to create the testing layer for us, or automated testing layer. Okay. Right. So now it's testing first, read root, and then we have a test create item valid. Cool. And then test create item invalid as well. Good. Right? So now see, you don't have to think anything, right? Now everything is being done by your own code assistant, right? Now, the next thing is, okay, I think I have already wrote down the question. So we are done with the testing. Now we want provide the config. Okay, now we want to just create the Docker image. Okay. So, okay, I want you to provide me the config and the command so I can create a Docker image that will contain the fast API-based server suggested in a previous response. Awesome. Now you can see, you can take that Docker file, put it in your folder, and you will be golden, right? All you need to do is to just run the command, which is going to share well. Similarly, once you have a Docker image created, you want to test it, right? So here, if you just see, it says that once the Docker image is created, you can run that and you can just verify it, right? Whether it's running, right? The next thing is, we want to, how can we, no, not now. Okay, how can we publish? Okay, now we tested it out. Okay. Then we want to create the image. Cool. Right. So it's saying first you have to log in it, you have to tag your image locally, or if you want to run it before, pushing to the main, publicly available repository or the private repository, if you want to run it locally, you can use that image and run this command, which we got it here. And if you face an issue, I mean, the good part is, if you are going to face an issue, you have to just copy and paste ask the same question. Okay, this is what you have given me, and this is the error I'm getting, and they are going to help you, right? If your own code assistant is not able to do it, you can go to the ChatGPT, you can go to the Gemini, Claude, or any publicly available tool, and you can ask the same question by providing the error messages, and if possible, that provide the snippet where the code snippet where that particular error is happening, right? You don't have to do anything, right? So what we have done so far: build a web server, test it out, create a Docker image, publish to the repo, and now we want to deploy to the a Kubernetes cluster first, right? And first, but before I go to, publishing the Docker image, deploying the Docker image into the cloud environment, like our higher environment like QA, UAT, pre-prod and prod, what we're gonna do is first we want to test it out locally, right? So this is what I'm asking. Once Docker image get published to Docker Hub, then I want to run the web server on Kubernetes. So first I want to test it in local with Minikube. So how can I set up a Minikube in local environment followed by running the web server and test it R locally, right? So hitting this, right? So it's just that you have to just design a flow, what all things you want to do it, and you have to just articulate that in a proper way, and you have to ask to the code assistant, right? It's very, very straightforward, right? I have not write a single line of code, and everything is being given by these code assistant, right? You can just run them and you can see by yourself, right? So it's going to give you all kind of things like what all tools you need, how you can set that up, and wherever you are going to face any issue or you are going to face any error, you have to just copy paste that. Awesome. Okay. So once you are done with this, the last thing is what you want is you want to create your GitLab pipeline, right? Because you don't want to do all these kind of stuff again and again, because now we have know the entire workflow. Okay, everything is working fine, and now we reach to the point where we are mature enough where we want to create a pipeline at least for all the redundant and the mundane work, because we know that the all the foundation work has been done, and all we need is just automated way to all the way from source management to just deploy to whatever environment we want to deploy it, via it is QA, UAT, pre-prod and prod, right? Awesome, right? So wherever you get, any kind of issue, see, this is just a power of 1.5 billion parameter large language model. Just think about it. If you just go for the higher one, the how precise information you will get. If you just design your questions, if you just provide more context, right? Then also you will just, get more precise answer as well. And the good part is you can build all those kind of stuff on your own code assistant, or you can do the same thing in chat gpt, Gemini or cloud or any other tool, and you can compare the responses, if you really want to get the confidence, okay, whether your code assistant is actually working in a similar fashion like the other recognized tools are working or not, before you actually institutionalize these kind of solution to the wider audience within your organization or within your group, right? Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask this question. Okay, could you please help me to get, the Git pipeline? Okay, awesome. Right, so it test, build, post deploy, testing, and all those kind of stuff, right? So let's see what happens. And in the meantime, we can ask the same thing to Code GPT, Chat GPT as well. Okay. Let me open DeepSeek as well and see what DeepSeek does for us. Okay. So I'm gonna open up. Oh, this website is okay. Start now. Okay, so we build fast API based web server with automated test and published the Docker image with web server code and test framework. And now we want to build GitLab pipeline. So all the stages like testing, Docker image, building, publishing image, and then deploy web server on Minikube based local environment. And once everything looks good, then QA, then UATM, then pre-prod Kubernetes cluster running on cloud. Okay, so let's ask this. Okay, so come down here and for the ChatGPT. Okay, so it's saying, okay, GitLab pipeline. It seems like, oh, cool. See, this is the GitLab pipeline, which ChatGPT provided us, right? Now we can see what, you know, our own code assistant provided us. It seems like it is not very much, organized with a proper indentation and all those stuff, but that's fine. We can do that by ourselves. But it seems like it is giving us a lot of information, right? So we can copy paste and we can just formalize and we can ask this, right? Could you please provide the pipeline config with proper YAML format? Let's see whether it does or not. If not, then we can just copy the content, the response which we got, and we can just put it in ChatGPT, Gemini, anywhere we want, or we can use the YAML linter as well, right? So now we build the code, testing it out, build the Docker image, publish it out, test it on local, created our own pipeline, and now the only thing we are left with is to just deploy it to the cloud-based Kubernetes cluster. And same question we can ask again, right? But that is not something because we don't have, cloud-based Kubernetes cluster, configured with us. But all these kind of stuff is very easy to be tested. So whenever we get into, any development work, we can just ask these simple question on day one. Within few hours, we would be having the entire thing set up for us, right? And all the foundational work will be done. And now see, we got the response, but the format was not looking good for the GitLab. So I asked that, and now we can see the detail and the proper format in our own code assistant. See how powerful all these things, test, build, push, right? I know it's not very, it's not at par the what we asked, but it's from the foundational perspective, it's more than enough for us to start with, right? And once we just pick up, the higher, volume size large language model, probably we will get more precise answer, right? But see, a lot of heavy lifting is done by all these tools. See how much powerful all these kind of stuff is, right? So now what I'm saying is, since all these tools are available to us, all we need is to just understand how smartly and intelligently we can use all these kind of tools, right? And I would suggest do as much as exploration you can do, because when I start working on these kind of tools, believe me, I was completely shocked and amazed by seeing the power of these tools, right? All those kind of stuff which used to take a days, weeks, or months for me, but now I can just do it in few hours. I agree that sometimes we get into the loop where the things are not working if it is too much complicated and it's related to the very latest technology on which those large language models are not trained, so far. But apart from that, still there are so many value you will get, and the another thing is it will save a lot of time for you, right? You spend time in developing, reviewing, testing it out, deploying in different environment. All those kind of stuff can be done in a very less span of time, and whatever times get saved for us, that kind you can use to be more innovative, more creative, right? Because most of the time what happens, we are very much pressurized just to just build the code as soon as possible, just give it to the testing team so that they can do all those kind of testing and all those kind of stuff. But now we can reduce that cycle and we can add more number of features to our application to make it more user friendly and more competitive, right? In So this looks good, but the only thing which I haven't done, I haven't verified all these code. You can just verify all these code by yourself, run it, face all the errors which you are getting, go to these tools. First, you have to just check on your own code assistant whether that is able to help. That is able to help you or not. If it is not, then you can just go to the ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, or any other tool which is applicable, which is available in the market for free. Start using it out, figure it out whether all those kind of tools or the combination of tools are helping you or for your day-to-day work or not. And depending upon that, you can decide, which tool you should use it. Sometime what gonna happen is, if your organization is already having some tool set up, okay, probably you can use that. But if it's not the case and you have to just build it your own tool, then I would suggest just go with this Ollama Misty and for this Qwen 2.5 coder first. Get it yourself comfortable and see if it fulfill your requirement or not, right? So I think that's pretty much it for my side, because I was thinking that I will be able to just wrap this video in a very less span of time, but it seems like it took a little bit of time because I have to do a lot of explaining. Though we haven't run any code, but I would suggest run all these codes, get into the error, ask these code assistant first, and if it is not able to help you in few trial, then go to the other models, right? And probably you can, if you have a higher end machine, you can just go for the higher volume large language model for the Qwen 2.5 coder 2.5 Qwen 2.5 coder with 1.5 billion. So you can just pick up the higher one. So thanks for watching this. And as always, stay healthy and keep learning on new things and keep exploring all the capabilities these kind of AI or large language model tools are providing to us.